As Lincoln said to a nation far more divided than ours, we are not enemies, but friends. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. And to those Americans whose support I have yet to earn, I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. I need your help, and I will be your president too.
Welcome back. The annals of history were forever changed last night, as has the American political system as we know it. Here with me to look forward to how President-elect Obama will lead and at how he'll handle all the tests that will come with the office are three notable masters of history. Newsweek editor John Meacham, also the author of the soon-to-be-released American Lion, Andrew Jackson in the White House. Michael Gerson, former speechwriter for George W. Bush and Washington Post columnist, and also with us, U.S. presidential historian and MSNBC analyst Kearns Goodwin. Welcome all. Michael, I want to start with you. First of all, in that soundbite, there were echoes of President-elect Bush back in 2000, right? Didn't he say something similar about, I may not have earned your votes, but I'm going to try to, to earn your respect along the way?
That was an election really unlike this one, where division was much more pronounced.
Right.
The heroes of America are heroes of unity. That's why Obama quotes Lincoln. That's why Bush made that statement in 2000.
Do you agree with the idea that this election is a transcendent moment, not because of politics, not about whether you support Barack Obama, President-elect Obama, politically, but because of the moment it represents historically for the country, the achievement of the country?
Absolutely. For anyone who loves history, loves Washington, it's a town filled with ghosts. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that Obama will speak on the Mall yards from where there were slave pens in the 19th century. He'll go in a house, the White House, that was built in part with slave labor. These are extraordinary events. They're a great shining moment in the history of the country. No matter what you think about the politics, it is, an extraordinary achievement. So many cycles of history, so many cycles of justice will be fulfilled in the events of his presidency.
Doris?
Oh, there's no question. When you see the response that was in city after city, where perfect strangers were hugging one another, and it wasn't simply because they were blacks feeling and crying that an African American had reached the White House. They were whites feeling that the country had moved a huge step forward to get closer to the ideal that was part of the Declaration of Independence in the beginning, that all men are created equal. So there is a sense potentially of common purpose out there right now that he has to, rather than a big partisan mandate, he's got this amorphous sense of common purpose, of our wanting to move the country forward together. And if he can mobilize that, then he could really have something special.
That's what I'm so interested in, because covering President Bush as I have, and remembering the recount, remembering 2000, John Meacham, there was not a sense of common purpose. There was a real sense of division. 9/11 happened, there was that reset, a sense of common purpose, and that began to untangle as the administration wore on. You wrote this in Newsweek in your special edition, quote, like Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1932 and Reagan in 1980, the Obama win of 2008 marks a real shift in real time. It is early yet, but it is not difficult to imagine that we will, for years to come, think of American politics in terms of before Obama and after Obama. There is that moment that we can get caught up in where we see that sort of potential. So what does he have to do to really carry that idea forward?
Well, he has to do, I think, what he's shown he can do in the campaign, which is remain incredibly grounded while many of the rest of us around the country and around the world tend to go a little sometimes off the handle with joy at this. It is an amazing moment. But he also, and I think in that really remarkable speech in Grant Park last night, he talked about in very concrete terms that the road will be long, the climb will be steep, and that we aren't always going to agree. And what he has to do is rather clear. He inherits a situation with two hot wars, one ongoing global war on terror. He inherits a complex and confounding in many ways economic situation. and a crisis of confidence in the American soul, really. I don't mean to overstate it, but 9 out of 10 Americans think we're on the wrong track. That's hardly a position, beginning with a position of strength. So he has to deliver on the promise, and I think the promise is very clear. What's so wonderful, I think, about the Obama campaign and about the past day or so has been he is not explicit about the remarkable historical moment that Doris and Mike just spoke so eloquently about. He's implicit. He's talking as any politician, any president would. But he's doing it in the way he looks. It's remarkably historic.
The idea of a change in our politics, though, Michael, you take some exception with in something that you wrote in your column. I'll put it up on the screen. I come to this moment, you write, of national decision with deep concerns about the next president. His victory is likely to unleash an ideological and vengeful Democratic Congress. In the testing of a long campaign, Barack Obama has seemed thoughtful, but sometimes hesitant and unsure of his bearings. He promises outreach and healing, but holds to a liberalism that sees no need for innovation. It's the skepticism beneath the celebration of the moment.
Oh, I agree with that. I think the two can coexist in a certain way. I think Obama's challenge is that he ran a reassuring, stable, moderate campaign in tone, but that his policies were not particularly innovative. They were not particularly oriented towards outreach. His convention speech could have been given by any liberal Democrat for the last 15 or 20 years. Unlike Bill Clinton, for example, who ran as a new Democrat. Unlike George Bush, who ran initially as a compassionate conservative. He has not run as a policy innovator, challenging his party in key ways. So the question is, how will he govern? His manner, his rhetoric is all one direction. But he's not really shown the policy that would unite the Congress around key goals in the common interest.
And yet, perhaps even more important is that he has a kind of equable temperament. He sees things from other people's point of view. He never demonizes the opposition. And my guess is, if you have to look at history, there'll be both Lincoln, who the minute that burden was on him said, I'm going to surround myself with people who can question me, rivals, people from other parties. And even FDR, I don't think he'll be the FDR of the New Deal, who was confrontational and demonizing, in a certain sense, the people in business. The FDR of World War II, who created a coalition cabinet, a partnership with business, who had a sense of shared sacrifice and got the country behind a war. This is a situation not unlike war, where you're going to have to get a common purpose for energy, for example.